of COVID were even heightened in the semiconductor industry. So people were not able to make cars. There were things like fobs that didn't have sufficient chips because we didn't have the supply chain to do it. And so she gave me the direction to work with our state, local, and federal partners to secure this incredible project. Before we dive into the Micron project, I want to talk a little bit about why semiconductors. This chip industry is among the largest industries in the world. Everything that has electricity passing through it virtually has a semiconductor, has a chip in it. I mean, one of the few tools at this table that we have that doesn't have a semiconductor in it might be our pencils. But the reality is, semiconductors are considered the new oil. Is an essential resource to enable the 21st century. Several years ago, the industry talked about hitting the $1 trillion annual revenue target by 2030. We are expected to hit and exceed it this year. It is among the most profitable industries in the world. But another reason we do it is because it's also economically impactful and accessible to all New Yorkers. 60% of jobs don't require a 4-year degree. Wages are on average 25% higher than other manufacturing industries, under manufacturing sectors. And the multiplier, the jobs that come with it, it's estimated that roughly 5.7 jobs for each semiconductor job is created in the wider economy. And then there is, of course, an incredibly fierce competition for this industry. It is both international and national. Other states, as you see here on the right, are competing for this industry. Texas, Arizona, Ohio, across the world, countries like China, Japan, and Taiwan have created their own CHIPS programs to attract this industry. Again, the really exciting thing about this moment is that we are impacting the balance of world economic power, and indeed the balance of world military power, at the same time with an opportunity to provide a chance for all New Yorkers to participate in this industry. So, as I said, we're at this moment that was revealed around the COVID supply chain constraints, and the governor recognized this moment, as did our federal partners, with the creation of the Federal CHIPS Act. But the governor saw this moment and said, well, if it's going to happen in the U.S., how can we make it happen in New York? And so she has given us roughly $13 billion in incentives. The biggest part of that is the performance-based Green CHIPS program. It's a $10 billion refundable tax credit program that is specifically around the semiconductor industry.
Any federal dollars in that $13 billion, or
No.
Is that just all state?
That's all state. This federal government had, I think, $52 billion of grants nationwide, and then there's a very substantial refundable investment tax credit of roughly 35% on capital from the federal government. So substantial incentives, frankly, necessary to compete internationally and in New York. Key to this industry is R&D. It is almost unparalleled in terms of the investment in R&D that this industry makes. If you are not advancing, you are done. I mean, these fabs, which are tens of billions of dollars, almost have a venture quality to them. They are making these massive investments and proving their processes as they build these fabs. It's an incredibly dynamic environment, but the governor recognized how critical R&D is and provided us, as we've talked about before, we've actually approved a $1 billion grant associated with New York Creates High NA EUV Center. That's the lithography, lasers, shooting tin to make incredibly smaller and smaller features on semiconductors. In addition, as we've said, this opportunity isn't just about this high-tech industry and billions of dollars in investment. It's about opportunity for all New Yorkers. So the governor has provided us over $500 million for programs to make sure that all New Yorkers, are participating in this growth moment. Anchored really by what's called the on-ramp investment, which was a $200 million capital program for four centers statewide targeted to advance manufacturing. The flagship, which will be in Syracuse to support the Micron project. And lastly, we recognize that we're competing still around the country and the world. We need sites to be ready. The governor has provided us roughly $700 million of programs like Fast New York, Power Up, in addition, funds specifically for Micron's infrastructure needs.
So the FAST program and Power Up, they're part of that $700 million?
Yeah. Yep. And they in part, Kevin, they were born around this need that we have. So while today we're going to talk about Micron, this really is a statewide opportunity. We have partners from Global Foundries to in the Albany area, to the New York Crates in the Albany area. We have the nation's only federally designated semiconductor tech hub in the Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse areas. Kevin, as you know, we have semiconductor partners in Long Island, and we have incredible research capacity all around the state in this industry. Today, there are more than 156 semiconductor companies, and since Governor Hochul took office, we've had new commitments of $124 billion in capital to this industry. Indeed, the presence of this industry today is one of the reasons Micron selected New York. This isn't, we have Global Foundries, we have other partners that existed. The ecosystem was here as a result of years of investment. It's estimated that 1 in 4 chips that are manufactured in the U.S. will be made within 350 miles of upstate New York when Micron is fully operational. But as today's discussion is around Micron. The Micron project, just north of Syracuse in a town called Clay, their commitment is a $100 billion capital investment. They will directly employ more than 9,000 folks. Now, remember, we talked about this 5.7 jobs per jobs in this industry. That generates more than 50,000 direct and indirect and induced jobs in New York. It's really almost impossible to overstate the scale of this project. This map, which I stole from our colleague here, Rob Simpson, tries to capture the magnitude. So look, if you see these dots, there's Austin, Arizona. The small dot in the center represents the current gross domestic product of that location today. And the circle around it represents the scale of the growth associated with the semiconductor or other reshoring opportunities. So the relative scale of the growth in central New York is 5 times larger than in any other part of the nation which has received this type of investment. $9.6 billion in annual state GDP growth is expected when this project is fully operational. Now, I'm going to give you Matt Gorton isn't here today, so he can't yell at me because I Googled before I sat down to try to see where 9.6 billion sits in terms of international country GDPs. Well, that 9.6 sits at 158 between Monaco and Liechtenstein, right? So the impacts of this project would make it the 158th largest GDP in the world. And this represents this incredibly transformational opportunity for New York and and central New York in particular. Today, we have seen roughly a 3% population decline. That trend has been turning, but 3% population decline in central New York since 1990. Current housing growth is less than 0.5%. Micron is expected to increase the population by 84,000 folks in central New York in the next 25 years. And we will need 30,000 units of housing to accommodate that growth. We commissioned a study. You've actually approved some of the investments to enable that study and a housing fund that we put in place as a result of that. So how did we get here? The reality is that this was an unbelievably difficult, complex process. We began in August of 2021 with our first discussions with Micron. We announced the project in October of 22, and we just broke ground at the beginning of this year in January. A massive 1,400-acre site. The length of the buildings that Micron will build will be 1 mile from one end to the other, with roughly 3 million square feet of clean room and somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 million square feet of total space. It's an incredibly large project. Ultimately, we had to, as I said, lead this sort of state-federal partnership that was necessary to make this happen. 40 state, local, and federal permits, over 600 distinct regulatory steps. To lead that coordination, the governor created what's called GoSemi. GoSemi is this Governor's Office of Semiconductor Expansion, Management, and Integration. We are an incredible organization in terms of acronyms. We do a really, really nice acronym. So
GoSemi is a team within ESD?
GoSemi is a team within ESD. No, it lives here.
Team.
Meredith Andrucci is the executive director. She works with me to lead this work on behalf of the governor. An incredible team that has just worked tirelessly for the last several years. This coordination required us to create what we call sort of a nerve center, right? And effectively, we mapped out every step, every process, and how they were connected to each other. And when one step would change, that would implicate 17 other steps. And we would map that out, and we would see where we were going. It was an incredible amount of work. It is, I would say, probably the most thorough environmental analysis that has ever been conducted for a project in the state of New York, and conducted expeditiously. We delivered the project on time. First permits were awarded in 25. We broke ground in January of 26. They are currently 4 months ahead of schedule on their project. So the GoSemi work, as I said, we aligned all these federal and state processes. We were provided resources to do the things that needed to get done. So when our friends at DEC needed more help to review the wetland impacts, we hired a consultant to support their work. We coordinated, and I mean probably, we announced in, I'll call it October 15th of 22. On October 18th, I held the first multi-agency meeting with dozens of state agencies to start mapping out this process and to create a space where we could identify any issues. We could raise them, flag them, move them. It has been an unbelievably strong partnership with all of our state agency partners, but it's been an incredible amount of work. So the big number here, so these are the resources that we've been given to make this project happen. Most of these, the big one there, the green chips, you don't see as the board because it's a tax credit program. It's a refundable tax credit program. It is a refundable performance-based tax credit program, meaning they only get those benefits if they do the project. When we announced this project, I was talking with the governor, and I said, we are going to need so much more to do this project successfully and to make sure that those benefits are seen by all New Yorkers. And frankly, she has delivered. We have $200 million that we committed as part of the project for transportation infrastructure. Last year, we included $116 million for water infrastructure. One of that item, or a portion of that item, is on your agenda today. We committed $100 million as part of a larger $500 million community investment fund, of which Micron is committing $250 million. That is investments in the community to make sure that things like workforce, to make sure that things like educational opportunities, that our community resources are in place. We have launched any number of workforce programs, including the on-ramp program, in support of this project. Again, I want to emphasize $5.5 billion only becomes real in the instance where they do the project. So you look at that number down there, $5.9 billion in support of this project. And you think, like I do, that is a ton of state resources committed to one project. But this is what is a result of that investment. As I said to you before, $9.6 billion, the 158th largest economy in the world, $5.4 billion of disposable income annually for New Yorkers. The revenue of, a portion of which comes out of that $5.5 billion performance-based tax credits, $43 billion in total state and local revenue. And the GDP growth over the next 30 years is $300 billion. It is an incredible return on the state's investment. And again, 93% of those benefits only go if they get there, right? This was an incredible effort. Absolutely, it has been the honor of my career to have been lucky enough to be in a position that I could lead the state's efforts on behalf of ESD and the governor. But it is a team effort. I tried to list everybody at ESD who I know had a specific hand in working on this specific project. I am sure I screwed up. And if you don't see your name there, it is not because we don't appreciate it. It's because I missed something. So, but I just want to share the slide with you because the tens of thousands of hours that your colleagues at ESD have worked, the leadership from the governor and Hope from day one to give us, and you all, to approve the resources necessary to make this happen, the GoSemi office. And these are nights and weekends and holidays, and it is truly an honor to have been part of this team. And as I said, it's also this incredible state agency partners, from DEC to the governor's office to NYSERDA. These meetings occurred every single week for 4 years, and they were there every step of the way. And we have a ton of local and state and federal partners who are also critical to this moment. I want to call out John Cardinal in Senator Schumer's office. John was a real leader in the governor's office, in Senator Schumer's office throughout the creation of the CHIPS Act and throughout the Micron project. Your colleague who's in Syracuse right now, Rob Simpson, really was an incredible part of the team that made this project successful, as well as our colleagues at Onondaga County and all the other partners. I'm going to leave this one up, but again, the opportunity that this represents as a public servant is unprecedented. We get to do something which has the potential to impact balance of world power. And we get to do something that can intercede in generational poverty in places in upstate New York. It is, if you are a public servant, you want nowhere else to be than to be doing this project right now. It's a truly an honor, and I appreciate all the trust and the resources we've been provided. And I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Thanks, Kevin. That was terrific. I have a couple of questions, and if I missed it, I apologize. So out of that 5.5 billion, a lot of it, and most of it is tax credits, from the state. And what's the federal role? What did the CHIPS Act at the federal level do? Does that give grants directly to Micron, or
Yeah.
do those monies flow through ESD too?
Directly to Micron. I may have the exact number wrong. If I have it exactly wrong, I'm sure Rob Simpson can tell the exact right number. But I think roughly $6.2 billion to Micron for both their projects in Idaho, Boise, Idaho, and in central New York. In addition, everybody in this industry who does a project meeting certain qualifications is eligible for a 35% ITC, investment tax credit,
On top of it?
on top of the grants.
And those are federal too?
Those are federal
They
too.
don't pass through us either?
No, not at all.
Got it. That was one question. And I know you have NIPA on there and thanking them, but is Micron expected to be like a huge energy user, like data centers and all the things you're hearing about data centers, and they're using up tremendous amounts of energy, or are they not as bad as data centers?
I can't claim any expertise on data centers other than, the sort of anecdotal discussion and a ton of power. But yes, an absolute ton of power.
And grid there's enough in the
The-
system up there to accommodate all their energy needs?
There will need to be more, but there was many reasons why they selected New York. One of those reasons was, just going back to the map here. So you see that where the dot is right there.
Right.
Going north is nuclear generation. Going west is hydro generation. At that location is a confluence of power from those two sources. I think there is a center there that before Micron had 1 gig available at that center. That is why, in no small part, why they chose that location.
Got it. And the current, transmission and distribution system is able to accommodate it, or some of the infrastructure
Additional, so
monies?
there was an ISO study done. There will absolutely be upgrades that are necessary and are being made.
Got it.
Yeah.
No, that's great to hear. And my last question was on housing, which is always near and dear to me. So, with all the, thousands and thousands of jobs created and ancillary jobs, what did you say? You needed 25,000 new housing units?
30.
30,000?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it, but yeah, 30,000.
And that's going to be all types of housing?
All types of housing.
Single-family apartments and
You name
condos
it.
and everything?
Yep.
And is that, it's definitely needed. Is somebody leading the effort to make sure that housing gets built? I saw something in the paper today, the New York State Legislature is, threatening to impose rent control in upstate New York. I could guarantee you that will prevent investment in housing if there's rent control, because investors won't want to invest in housing if they see things like that happen. So I was just wondering, is GoSemi involved in the housing production, or is there another state arm who's going to help facilitate the construction of housing?
All of the above. Much similar to the governor's energy approach, the housing approach is also all of the above. You approved, I think maybe at the last board meeting, a $30 million grant for a housing fund, which was part of a $150 million housing fund we created for low interest loans during construction under certain circumstances within smart growth. That clearly won't meet the entire need, but the market is also going to step in here. The governor has continued to provide substantial resources through ESD to stimulate housing. We have the Housing Infrastructure Fund that we did last year, where we're paying for infrastructure that facilitates the creation of housing. Those funds are certainly being used in support of this project in central New York, but it's everybody. HCR clearly is that there are housing, but we have a very, very focused. We did a study. We commissioned HRNA to help us with a study about the housing growth in
And do you
central
see
New York.
most of the housing being in the Onondaga County, or will surrounding counties help, contribute to the increase of supply of housing that's needed for all these jobs up there?
Yes, I mean, I think it's reasonable given the sort of the focus. A lot of them will be Onondaga County, but certainly Oswego, which is within a couple of miles of the site, just north. On Oneida, which is 20 miles. So for sure, those communities will be meeting that housing demand.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Good luck.
Kevin,
Michael.
the efficiencies that you all learned in doing all of this, say in permitting and the like, can those be applied, you think, in the future for the benefit of other ESD projects?
100%, and we are doing it. It's one of the things the governor talked about is that continued partnership with our colleagues in other agencies. So we continue, even in other projects, to work closely with DEC, DOT, all of those folks who are involved in a project that requires that large environmental review and has implications around infrastructure that is far exceed the specific project.
And you think that trickles down to cost savings at the bottom line?
I think it trickles down to cost savings, but that's not the most important. It is knowledge, right? It is success and timeliness. So our ability to deliver this project was, we did it by that coordination. We did it on time. It's not to say we were never surprised by anything. A project this scale is unprecedented. So there were certainly things that were triggered that we didn't anticipate, but we were able to deal with it quickly, and most of what we anticipate. I think the real benefit of that approach is predictability, right? The one thing that New York offers to this industry with GoSemi is confidence of success. Confidence once you start that process, you're gonna get through that process and knowing what it is. Yeah.
Good to hear. Hey, Rob, you know a little something about this little project up there. Anything you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing I would just like to emphasize beyond the human impact of a project of this scale for a community, not just Syracuse and Central New York, but really upstate New York that has suffered socioeconomic decline over a significant long period of time. The human impact here is incalculable. And to Kevin's point about sort of public service, the impact that we're all able to have on these things, it's truly an honor and a joy. The more important thing, though, is the Empire State Development team and the team at New York State, all the way up through the governor's office. This project doesn't happen not just without their engagement, but without their leadership, and without their creativity and without their personal sacrifice. Having had the front row seat to watching this project and engaging with Kevin and Hope and the governor and the whole team, it is inspiring to watch the level of effort and personal commitment to doing something that many people thought would be impossible for upstate New York, and not only make it possible to deliver it and now be ahead of schedule and be in a position to capitalize. So I cannot thank the whole team at ESD enough for the way they showed up in this process, which was exceptional. Full stop.
Great to hear. Hey, Kevin, if everything continues to go on schedule, when do we expect the facility to open and the first chips to be made?
I think 2029 is what they're shooting for. So not too far.
Yeah, couple years away.
What's today? Yeah. And there is an urgency that AI brings to this company and to this industry. Going back to that data point, the 1 trillion. That was a 2030 thought, and I know I said that, but the reality is Micron, I think, had $13.4 billion of profit last quarter. They saw revenue I won't even give the numbers, but unbelievable amount of revenue. Their product is at the center of the AI moment. It enables, Manish Bhatia, who is the number 2 at Micron, did a presentation a couple weeks ago. For every NVIDIA chip, there's 96 memory chips that go around it. right? And so AI is enabled by things like the GPUs and NVIDIA makes, but also by the memory that Micron makes. This moment is not going away. It is a massive moment for this industry. It's a massive moment for this company. And they are going to go as fast as they can to meet the demand that exists today. And we're doing our best to keep up with them.
Great. All right. Anybody else? No. Okay. Well, Kev, great job. Deb, or you send me your PowerPoint.
You
I
bet.
want to weave in your facts when I'm giving speeches around, to weave in all these awesome facts. And I always plug Micron, but it's very generic. So this would arm me with some good data to highlight how exciting it is. So
Kevin,
it's great for the whole state.
Can I just make one last plug here? One, obviously thanking the whole team, but the Hope and the governor, the very real investment, like this matters to our leadership. The governor has very much been a human being and recognized, like, I want this opportunity for my fellow New Yorkers, right? She has been so invested and supportive every time we needed resources. If we were smart about what we were looking for, she has provided them to us. She's just been an unbelievable leader in this moment. Without her, there's no way this happens, right?
And I think Governor Hochul deserves a round of applause.
Yeah.
Well said, Kev. Thank you for the presentation. It was great. So in light of the technical difficulties we had, which delayed our meeting, and then Kevin going way over budget on his time, which was all worthwhile, I'm going to ask folks to be sort of brief and to succinct with the presentations as we now head to the regional projects section. And by the way, are we streaming yet, or are we still recording? We are?
Yes,
Was
it's
it?
live.
All right, so we're now streaming live. If you missed the first part of the meeting, we recorded it and we're going to post it later. So any part of the meeting that you missed, you'll be able to see. Check out the website later on today. But we are now streaming live. Okay, so good to know. We're going to continue now with the regional projects section, starting in Western New York. And Karen Utz, our regional director, has a project for us.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman. I just have to say, wow, holy cow. But in terms of this project, the directors are requested to approve a working capital grant of $2.5 million to the not-for-profit organization, the Center for Regional Strategies, from RECAP to advance and grow a small business growth initiative in Western New York. ESC's investment will help leverage over $3 million in additional funding that has already been secured from philanthropic partners. CRS has already successfully established the framework of the Small Business Growth Initiative. It is a network of established business support organizations across our region that are implementing a continuum of training, access to finance and support services, all aimed at growing small businesses to drive revenue generation in the region. And by working together, they will share best practices, help address gaps in services, eliminate redundancies, and make navigating the small business support system easier. As the programmatic work is now underway, ESC is recommending the directors approve the release of the first tranche of funds for this project, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good. Any questions for Karen? Hearing none. We have no comments from the public either, so I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Let's move over to the Finger Lakes region. John Connors, our Deputy Director.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Law. We are asking the directors today to approve a $1,500,000 capital grant to Yates Cultural and Recreational Resources, Inc., doing business as Yates Community Center, for a $6.4 million project from the Regional Council Capital Fund, Round 13. The Yates Community Center is a not-for-profit organization serving more than 3,500 community members annually, providing a wide range of opportunities to promote wellness and positive lifelong habits. This grant supports the creation of a new 35,000 square foot multi-use indoor facility in the village of Penn Yan, that is in Yates County. The facility will feature multi-purpose flooring, designated recreation areas, a community room, and a walking track, allowing for year-round programs and events. The project has reached the expenditure milestone for first disbursement, and full project completion is expected in December of 2026. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. And for the board members, if you didn't notice, pictures of this project are up on the screen. Looks like it's going to be an exciting project. Anybody have any questions for John? None. We have no comments from the public. So I will move it. Hilda seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving up to the North Country region. Simone, you cover the North Country region too. What don't you cover, Simone?
Just for today.
So Simone, our Senior Director of Loans and Grants, has a presentation for us.
Thank you, Chairman Law. Good morning to everyone. The directors are being asked to authorize 2 grants, a $71,543 Regional Council Capital Fund grant and a $538,457 Round 6 Restore New York grant to the Village of Canton in the North Country region for rehabilitation of a 4,512 square foot vacant building to create a microbrewery. Originally, the total funding of $610,000 was solely allocated from the Restore New York program, but due to a reduction in the square footage of the project and the desire to maintain the grant at the same level, a portion of the Restore New York grant was reallocated to the Regional Council Capital Fund. The village, in partnership with St. Lawrence County IDA and St. Lawrence Suds, doing business as Bent Beam Brewing, began creation of the new microbrewery and restaurant in May 2024, which was complete in August 2025 at a cost of approximately $2.3 million. The village contributed $605,000 in equity to the project, and the new brew pub will encourage new economic development that builds on Canton's outdoor recreation and cultural resources. Because the project is complete at this time, ESD is requesting director's authorization of the funds. And I can take any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Simone. Any comments or questions for Simone? None. We have no comments from the public. So I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. We're going to move over to the Mid-Hudson region. Is Linda with us yet, or is she not able to join?
Yeah, Elmira Velasquez.
Elmira, are you on the phone? Do we have Mid-Hudson on the phone, or are you on mute?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Yeah, Linda's having technical difficulties, so I will cover for her. Good morning, everyone. The directors are requested to approve a $2 million Regional Council capital grant from Round 12 for the Center for Discovery's Children's Specialty Hospital capital project in Rock Hill, Sullivan County. Designated as a New York State Center of Excellence, the Center for Discovery provides healthcare and education services to children and adults with complex conditions, including autism. This grant supports the final construction and renovation of the Children's Specialty Hospital, a state-of-the-art inpatient and research facility dedicated to providing multidisciplinary care that helps children and adolescents stabilize and successfully return to their communities. Specific improvements included critical upgrades to HVAC, IT infrastructure, and site work necessary for modern clinical operations. This project aligns with the Mid-Hudson Regional Economic Development Council's work strategy by investing in the priority industry cluster of life sciences. Total project cost was $10 million, and the $2 million grant represents 20% of the total project cost. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No, we have no comments from the public either. So I will move it. I see Francine waving her hand who wants to second it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Going to move over to New York City region. We have live and in person here with us Andrew Fletcher and Joseph Taswell for a couple of different items.
Good morning, Chairman Law and Directors. I'm seeking your authorization for a $10 million New York Works capital grant to B&H Photo and Electronics. Founded in Manhattan in 1973, B&H is a retailer of photography equipment and related products. The company sells merchandise through its one retail store, the internet, and mail order consumers throughout the world, as well as wholesale customers, including educational and governmental entities. B&H has maintained its headquarters and flagship retail store in its current location for over 27 years. ESD has had a working relationship with the company going back as far as 2006. In February of 2022, the New York City Regional Office was approached to support B&H in the retention and expansion of its corporate office. At this time, B&H had been operating under short-term lease extensions as they searched to acquire suitable space. In October 2024, after evaluating several buildings and occupancy scenarios, B&H was ready to proceed with a location decision and had developed two final options for consideration. Option one, B&H would relocate its office operations to 200,000 square feet of space in New Jersey City, a move that was perceived as likely, given that A, they had relocated their warehousing and distribution out of New York to New Jersey in 2017, B, the New Jersey option represented a $75 million savings over 15 years, and C, because a large portion of their workforce resides in New Jersey and southern Rockland County. Option two that B&H was considering would acquire 449th Avenue, the building within which it currently leases its space for office operations, expand its footprint within that building, and acquire 333 West 34th Street to house the retail location, as well as some additional office space. The $145 million project includes $114 million in acquisition, $31 million in renovation costs associated only with the 217,000 square feet that B&H will utilize for its corporate office space. The project will result in the retention of 1,399 corporate jobs, as well as the creation of 166 additional headquarter jobs over the next 5 years. In February of 2025, ESD presented B&H with a $10 million New York Works capital grant and a $17.65 million Excelsior offer to induce the company to expand their corporate presence in New York City. With the acquisitions of the buildings complete and renovation underway, the project is ready for the initial disbursement. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Andrew, I didn't realize how big they were. And I remember always hearing their commercials, on the radio, growing up too. I know on Long Island we have Canon, and Canon struggled for a while because people stopped buying cameras because everybody's using their phone for cameras now, except for the camera buffs. And they had to diversify into other things. And I'm just wondering, did B&H diversify into other things, or is their primary product still cameras?
Cameras and film for movie productions, professional things, but also, I mean, if you wanted to go buy a camera, you could go to the retail shop. But they do very, very high-end, worldwide sales of video, and they design and develop products in-house as well, and provide training to customers.
And this will cement their presence here in New York City and avoid the threats of moving to Jersey.
That's correct.
Great, very good, nice to hear. Anybody else have any questions for Andrew? Hearing none, we don't have any comments from the public, so I will move this. I think Robert Simpson's just stretching and raising his hand, and that's a second. And so, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Andrew. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This request is for the approval of an $855,700 downtown revitalization initiative round 3 grant to the Brooklyn Navy Yard Development Corporation for the $5.9 million reconstruction of the Brooklyn Navy Yard's Cumberland Street Gate, a primary access point for the yard. Formed in 1981 by the City of New York, the Brooklyn Navy Yard Development Corporation, or BNYDC for short, is the nonprofit landlord, property manager, and real estate developer of the Brooklyn Navy Yard, a 300-acre waterfront industrial park. The Brooklyn Navy Yard is home to over 550 businesses, which employ more than 11,000 people and generate over $2.5 billion a year in economic impact. The reconstruction of the Cumberland Street Gate will improve pedestrian and bicycle access, safety, and overall multimodal travel along Flushing Avenue, strengthening connections between the Yard and the adjacent neighborhoods of downtown Brooklyn and Fort Greene. The project will benefit both the public and the workers employed at the Yard. The project was completed in April. I'm happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you, Joe. And I'm gonna hold you to your promise, you're gonna take me on a
Yes,
tour of the
absolutely.
Navy Yard sometime this summer.
I will indeed
Good.
do that.
Good.
I'd love to.
I've heard great things about it, I've never been, so thanks. Anybody have any questions for Joe? None, we don't have any comments from the public either, so I will move it, Michael seconds it, all in favor? Aye, any opposed? None, the motion carries. Joe, you got another one for us?
Great, yes, I do. The second request is for approval of a $1.5 million Regional Council Capital Fund grant to the historic Greenwood Cemetery in connection with Greenwood's new $38 million visitor center, which is located in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Established in 1838, Greenwood is one of New York City's oldest and most storied institutions, a 470-acre National Historic Landmark that draws more than 500,000 visitors each year to its sweeping grounds, world-class statuary, and permanent resting places of Leonard Bernstein, Jean-Michel Basquiat, Louis Comfort Tiffany, and Susan McKinney Stewart, among many others. At the heart of the visitor center stands the fully restored 1895 Ware Greenhouse, a rare surviving example of Victorian-era architecture and designated a New York City landmark. Inside the visitor center, which is called the Greenhouse, visitors can access a range of resources and experiences designed to enhance their visit. There's an immersive digital displays highlighting the cemetery's landscapes, monuments, and natural features, while digital kiosks allow visitors to locate burial sites throughout the cemetery. The space also includes exhibition galleries showcasing artwork, artifacts, and storytelling elements that reflect Greenwood's history. Additional amenities include a modern classroom for educational programming and a research center with access to historical records dating back to 1838. This project was completed in April. Happy to take any questions.
Right, not a trick question, but I know we have a lot of important cemeteries throughout the state, including some for veterans as well. But is this the only cemetery that has some type of national landmark designation that you refer to?
That I don't know, but it was one of the first to incorporate this idea of famous people.
And the cemetery acts as a tourist attraction as
Yes,
well?
correct.
Right.
And has for many years.
Lots of robust programming
Yeah,
at the
A cemetery.
cemetery. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
It seems unusual. But it sounds like a beautiful place, and with the statues
Yes.
as well. So, how close is it to the Brooklyn neighborhood?
A little ways away, but we can arrange both.
Maybe we'll try to get both in the same day. All right, good, very good. All right, anybody else have questions for Joe? All right, so we don't have any comments from the public either, so I will move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thanks, guys. We now have at the direction of projects, and Simone is up again. And this is the item that Hilda is going to be recusing herself from.
Thank you. At the direction of grants, refer to those commitments listed in the New York State budget that originate from the Governor, the New York State Assembly, or Senate, and ESD is named to administer the funding, but does not select the recipients of funding. The directors are being asked to authorize $68 million of a $116 million special capital appropriation award made available in fiscal year 2025-26 from the Executive Chamber to the Onondaga County Water Authority. Previously, in October 2025, ESD's directors approved $48 million of the $116 million appropriation for the first phase of the Water Authority's Regional Growth Capital Project, which was applied to completion of the Lake Ontario Water Supply Master Plan and Water Storage Project. Today, directors are being asked to authorize an additional $68 million of the total $116 million to construct the Eastern Branch transmission main and 2 new 42-inch water service lines off the existing transmission main. With this approval, ESD will have authorized the full $116 million in funding to the Water Authority's proposed $549 million capital project to expand the Water Authority's infrastructure capacity in support of Micron Technology's planned $100 billion semiconductor manufacturing campus in Clay, New York. Micron Technology is committing more than $200 million in direct capital funding towards the project, and additional support is anticipated from regional sources. The Water Authority will contribute revenue-based bonded resources to complete the work in advance of revenue from Micron and additional water customers. This undertaking will support potable water demands for a population of over 350,000 people, 2,216 miles of water main, and 48 pumping facilities. The project is expected to be complete in August 2028.
Now, so Kev, in your chart, when you said there was $200 million allocated for infrastructure, was this a part of it, or is this something different?
Well, it was separately listed, actually. So there was 200 for road infrastructure.
Oh, road infrastructure.
There was 116, I think, we listed for this.
Water. Oh, God, so there was part of, this is part
Part
of.
of the whole, yeah.
This is
yeah.
part of that figure. Got it. All right, Simone, continue.
Okay, for the last item, directors will be asked to authorize a $750,000 fiscal year 2025-26 appropriation to United Way of Greater Rochester and the Finger Lakes Incorporated from the Local Assistance, Economic Development, and Community Services Program. The grant is being made available at the direction of multiple New York State Assembly members who are separately listed in the director's calendar. The grant will be used to cover operational expenses in support of the Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative, a multi-sector community collaborative launched in 2015 that seeks to break the cycle of poverty by focusing on building collaborative capacity across the Rochester Monroe area. Funds will be applied through April 2029. And I can take any questions.
Any questions? None? No comments from the public? So I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. And remember that Hilda abstained on this one, recused herself. The motion approves. Thank you, Simone. Next up, Office of Strategic Workforce Development. We have 3 items, 3 separate votes. Michelle Clark, our VP and Director of Workforce Development. Michelle, are you with us or are you on mute?
Maybe carry on to the next one.
All right, we'll move on to items, Roman numeral number 5, Connect All, Selena Gul Mohammed, Senior Program Manager.
Good morning.
Hi.
Thank you, Chair, President Knight, and members of the board to bring this opportunity to bring this matter to you today. Connect All is requesting that the directors authorize 2 general project plan amendments to awards made through our municipal infrastructure program. For the first project, Connect All seeks approval to enter into a grant agreement with Franklin County for an amount not to exceed $25,439,088.00 to construct fiber and fixed wireless broadband infrastructure in Franklin County. The directors previously approved a general project plan for this project at the February 2025 meeting. Connect All requests the director's authorization to amend the general project plan to increase the portion of underground construction to complete the project by the federally mandated deadline. Underground construction can generally be completed more quickly and securely, but it is generally more costly than aerial construction on utility poles, which results in an increase in the award amount for this project. For the second project, Connect All seeks approval to enter into a grant agreement with Oswego County for an amount not to exceed $29,506,992.74 to construct fiber broadband infrastructure in Oswego County. This project was also reviewed and approved by the directors at the February 2025 meeting. Connect All requests the director's authorization to amend the general project plan to prioritize construction that can be completed by the federally mandated deadline, as well as to adjust the portion of the project that will be underground and will allow the and will fully fund the initial phase of the project in order to permit the county to reallocate its equity contribution to fund components of the project that will be completed after the federal deadline. I'm happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you, Selena. Anybody have any questions for Selena? Don't see any. No comments from the public, so I will move it. Hilda seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Do we have Michelle Clark back yet? No?
She said she's on.
Yes, I'm back.
Oh, she's
Hi,
back.
I'm here.
Okay. All right, Michelle.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Directors, and good morning, Commissioner Knight. The Directors are requested to approve the release of funding to the Research Foundation for SUNY on behalf of Rochester Educational Opportunity Center in the amount of $1,610,500. This operating grant through the Office of Strategic Workforce Development will be used to develop and implement an entry-level building trades program featuring fundamentals of workplace safety, electrical, plumbing, drywalling, carpentry, and painting. Program participants will receive holistic case management, including access to transportation, childcare, and participant stipends. We are recommending that the board authorize the release of funds to carry out this project, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
All good. Don't see any questions. No comments from the public. So I'll move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Next one, Michelle.
Great. The directors are requested to approve the release of funding to Rochester Institute of Technology in the amount of $718,662. This operating grant through the Office of Strategic Workforce Development will be used to develop credential training in electronics assembly, rework, and repair to aid veterans in gaining access to high-paying technical jobs. The Veterans Outreach Center will provide case management, including stipends, transportation, food assistance, and access to mental health services. We are recommending that the board authorize the release of funds to carry out this project, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right. No, don't see any questions and no comments from the public. So I will move it. Francine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Last item.
Great. Thank you. The directors are requested to approve the release of funding to Central New York Laborers Training Fund in the amount of $799,000. This capital grant through the Office of Strategic Workforce Development and funding from Round 1 of the Green Chip Community Investment Fund will be used to construct a 5,032 square foot addition to an already existing training facility to house new training space and acquire new equipment. The expansion in the new equipment will increase the facility's capacity from 10 to 50 apprentices per session, allowing CNY laborers to train hundreds of job seekers, especially those from historically underserved communities. And there's the photo. We are recommending that the board authorize the release of funds to carry out this project, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Nice photo. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
No questions. No comments from the public. So I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Now we will head over to New York Ventures. We have Sylvia Cadoni, 3 items and 3 separate votes. Hiya.
Thank you. Good morning. New York Ventures is seeking approval for an investment of up to $2 million in Fisarius Therapeutics. The New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund has previously invested $1,050,000 in the company. Therefore, this investment would bring us to $3,050,000 in total. Fisarius is a New York City-based medical technology company developing solutions for wound care and reconstructive surgery. Its main product, Demisphere, is a novel collagen-based dermal regeneration template that is designed to improve patient outcomes in the treatment of full-thickness skin wounds that can be caused for burns, trauma, cancer lesions. Demisphere is invented by Dr. Jameson's Spector Lab at Weill Cornell and is cleared already for commercialization by the US FDA last year. The proceeds of this financing will be used to expand commercialization efforts and the product pipeline. As part of the due diligence process, as you're familiar with, the New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund staff and the External Advisory Committee have evaluated the company's business plan the growth prospects and the terms of the investment. As a result of the analysis, both the staff and the IC agrees that this is a good opportunity and warrants an investment from the fund and recommends the approval. I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Any comments or questions? No? No. Based on the recommendations of staff and your investment advisory committee, I will move it. Michael seconds it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. And the motion carried. And if I didn't say it, there were no comments from the public on that. Next item.
This is also another investment for up to 1.5 million in a Series A preferred financing for Salvo Health. This is a New York City-based digital health company. Proceeds from this financing will be used to grow the technology platform, execute on sales, and serve more patients. This investment is also made from the state's Innovation Venture Capital Fund. Salvo Health provides an opportunity for gastroenterology practices to expand care, access, and improve inpatient outcomes, reduce healthcare costs, and increase income for physician groups. The company was founded by CEO Jeff Blueck and a serial technology entrepreneur, and two other co-founders that are develop GI medicine, clinical operations expertise, and development of technology in this setting. The same due diligence process was, as we described before, was used to evaluate this investment, and both the staff and the IC recommend its approval.
Okay. Thank you, Sylvia. Any questions? None on that one. No comments from the public. And again, based on your recommendation and the recommendation of the Investment Advisory Committee, I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Last item.
This one is a grant. Today we're asking the directors to approve the authorization of a grant to Reitler, Hylas, and Rosenblatt for up to $600,000. The company will provide technical assistance to business throughout the state of New York through the Small Business Credit Initiative, the SSBCI Technical Assistance Program. The SSBCI TA program provides funding for eligible technical assistance providers to offer legal, accounting, and financing advisory to very small businesses and fund managers by helping them navigate the ESD's SSBCI equity program. Reitler, Hylas, and Rosenblatt is a nationally recognized venture capital law firm. The firm has history in providing support to early-stage founders and emerging venture fund managers throughout both pro bono legal help desk and mentoring programs at New York-based colleges and universities. That's why they were selected. And so, any questions?
All right. Thank you, Sylvia. Any questions? None? No comments from the public. I'll move it. John seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Sylvia. And now we have our last items, our administrative action items that Doug Janice, our senior counsel for corporate and real estate, will walk us through.
Thank you, Chairman Law. Good morning, directors. As a reminder, in order to help streamline your board meetings, we've implemented an oral summary presentation process in connection with the administrative action section of your agenda. So you've received a full set of the written descriptive materials for each of these items in your board materials, but rather than having individual oral presentations made on each, I'm going to provide you with a brief summary of the items, and at the conclusion, we'll take any questions or comments that directors may have. Item 7A is relative to the approval of a land bank application. The directors are requested to approve a land bank application submitted by Lewis County. Under the statutory requirement of the land bank program, formal ESD approval is required before a land bank can be formed. Following review of the application submission, staff has determined that Lewis County has presented a strong case that the land bank will be successful in the community and recommends its approval. Item 7B is relative to authorization to enter into a lease for office space in Ithaca, New York. The directors are requested to authorize an extension of a lease for office space in Ithaca, New York from Urban Core LLC. ESD has leased the space since May 1st, 2023, and the New York Ventures team is seeking approval to extend it for a period not to exceed 3 years. The total cost of the lease over those 3 years will not exceed $22,667. Item 7C is relative to authorization to enter into a contract for transportation planning and street mapping consulting services for the Creedmoor mixed-use project. Directors are requested to authorize the corporation to enter into a contract for transportation planning and street mapping consulting services with AKRF LLC for the Creedmoor mixed-use project. The director-approved master plan includes the planning and mapping of critical infrastructure improvements, including roadways, water, storm, and sanitary pipes, and electrical vaults. Staff is requesting authorization to enter into a contract for 2 years at a cost not to exceed $756,000 for these services. Item 7D is relative to authorization to enter into a contract for sustainability consultant services for the GoSemi initiative. The Green Chips program, which incentivizes large-scale semiconductor manufacturing projects, requires participants to submit a sustainability plan to ESD when they enter into the program. ESD has previously relied on technical support from NYSERDA through its contract with Altanova LLC to establish the program, and now needs to move this capacity in-house in order to review and evaluate the plans, engage with technical experts at the companies, and ultimately approve the plans. The proposed contract with Altanova is for 2 years at a cost of $281,000. Item 7E is relative to authorization to enter into a contract to build out a portion of the Excelsior broadband network. The directors are requested to authorize the corporation to enter into a 3-year contract with Power and Telephone Supply for a cost not to exceed $34,440,921.38 to provide the fiber and associated materials necessary to extend a fiber optic line the length of the New York State Thruway. This contract is a key step to construct the first component of the Excelsior Broadband Network, a new statewide public broadband network that will connect public broadband access to improve high-speed internet and reliable cell service across rural and urban New York. Item 7F is relative to authorization to enter into a contract amendment for code compliance and enforcement services for the Moynihan Station Civic and Land Use Improvement Project. Directors are requested to authorize the corporation to enter into a no-cost contract amendment to extend the contract with Jensen Hughes Engineering, PC, for code compliance and enforcement services for 1 additional year. This extension is required to fulfill ESD's ongoing obligations as the New York State Code Coordinator for the complex Moynihan Train Station / Farley Building Facility, and will allow Jensen Hughes to continue their services under the original scope of services and allotted funds. Item 7G is relative to authorization to enter into a contract amendment for financial consulting services for Phase 2 of the Atlantic Yards Land Use Improvement and Civic Project. The directors are requested to authorize a contract amendment with BJH Advisors, LLC, to continue providing financial and economic feasibility analysis for the development of Atlantic Yards Phase 2. The requested amendment extends the contract term by 13 months through December of 2027 and increases the funding by $72,000, bringing the new total contract amount to a not-to-exceed amount of $141,739. Item 7H is relative to authorization to enter into a contract amendment for architectural consulting services in connection with the design guidelines for Brooklyn Marine Terminal and other services for the design and construction team on an as-needed basis. Directors are requested to authorize a contract amendment with STV Incorporated. The amendment will increase the contract duration for an additional year and add $50,000 in additional funds for a total contract amount of $100,000. The vendor's work will primarily relate to design guideline review for the Brooklyn Marine Terminal, and any work related to Brooklyn Marine Terminal will be funded from the dedicated Imprest account. And finally, items 7I and 7J are relative to authorization to enter into contract amendments for marketing and promotion services related to the market ordering program. The board is being asked to approve 2 contract amendments related to the market order program. The first contract amendment is for marketing promotional services for the New York State dairy industry with 3 Farmers That Care. The amendment will extend the term of the current contract through December 31st, 2026, but will not require any additional funding. The second contract amendment is for marketing and promotion services of the New York State Apple industry with Wilt Public Relations, Inc., doing business as Shiftology Communication. This amendment will also extend the term of the current contract through December 31st, 2026, and also require no additional funds. With that, I will now turn it back to our chair, who will call for any questions or comments you may have on any of these items before calling for a vote. We also have item-related staff on the line today to take any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. They all seem pretty straightforward. Thanks for the presentation. Does anybody have any comments or questions on any of these items? I don't see any. We don't have any comments from the public on any of these items, so I will move it. Hilda seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. That concludes our official business. Does any board member have any other business they'd like to raise at this time? Seeing none. Our next meeting is Thursday, June 25th here. So that means between now and then, we want to wish you all a happy Memorial Day weekend. Happy graduation season for any of you celebrating graduations. Happy Father's Day. And the legislative session will be over presumably by then, and so we'll have an update as to any impacts to ESD at the next meeting. So I will move to adjourn. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, team, for another good meeting.